So we successfully migrated Home Assistant from our thin client to True NAS, and now after running for a couple of days, I feel pretty confident it's time to start moving our other services over to True NAS. The next one in line that we're going to move is Plex. So I watched several videos and spent probably 2 or 3 hours doing a lot of research, trying the way people suggested to set it up with True NAS Scale, and I never could get it to work with the app from True NAS. Every time I went to use it, it acted like it was just the app and not the actual server. I was about to give up, throw in the towel for the day, and walk away, and then I found one more video from this gentleman, and he has a YouTube channel called Randy's Random Hobbies. So I'm assuming Randy is your first name. Shout out to you, Randy. You kind of give me a guidance on how to actually set up applications, and he does his a little bit different. He uses what is called True Charts. Now, I'm not 100% sure how safe and secure True Charts is because it looks like a bunch of custom wrote Dockers by random people. Now, I'm sure maybe they vet them and they are reliable applications, but again, it is not supported by True NAS, and they do give you a warning when you go in to add an outside chart. So let's get started. We're going to go to our apps. That's the first thing we're going to do. Guys, if you have not turned on, if you have not went into apps the first time, it's going to ask you to choose a pool. So choose your pool. I selected mine to fast storage. Our app services is already up and running, so we don't have to do that. So let's go to Discover Apps. Then we're going to go to Manage Catalog. We're going to follow their directions exactly. So we're just going to copy and paste. Add a catalog, and like I said, here's the warning. It's just saying if you use any outside source, I can't guarantee you how your system's going to run. It could affect it adversely. So we're going to take that chance. Repository, we're going to get their repository. Paste it in. We're going to remove stable. And the reason why is I tried it with stable and then added the other two that they suggested in, and it didn't work. So we're going to follow exactly how the instructions say. Copy premium. And if you do notice, it says type each one manually. If you're copying and pasting, you have to click out to simulate a. I'm sure maybe you can do a tab. Let's try a tab. Yep, a tab works just as well. So, and we'll grab system. And we're going to leave the branches main. And I have found if you click force, it seems to speed the process up just a little bit. So we'll click save. You can see in the background it added the chart. So now we have True Charts added in as our list of places to grab applications from. Let's go back to applications, discover. We still only have 107. Yes, there was a refresh button in there in the last page, but it didn't actually refresh the applications until you went in here and refresh charts. All right, so now we have 2 catalogs and 859 applications. So let's go to step 2, data sets, fast storage, and we have our media folder. So in his video, he changed the owner from root to apps, and we're going to follow it because it did work, and I'm not keen on giving that. I guess it's okay because we're not giving them to the top level, just this folder. So we'll edit here. We're going to apps. We're going to apply to owner. Apps here. Apply to group. Make sure they have full control. Apply this. Oops, let's do this. We've already added this user in, so make sure you do that as well. Make sure that they are the owner, the user apps has permission as well. Apply recursively. It has been applied. And then we're going to click save. All right, now you see apps is the owner, app is a user. All right, got this right here. Make sure that this folder exists. Go back to apps, discover, Plex, and we scroll down. we're going to notice that we have two different Plex apps. This is the one I was talking about that I never could get to work. All it seemed like it was the application and not the actual server. With True Charts, it is the actual server. I have tested this and it did work. So Plex Install. He did not change anything other than his time zone. So we're going to change our time zone here. We live in Central Chicago time zone. Alright, then he clicks on storage. He left all of this default, and that is what we're going to do too. We tried it another way. It worked one time, and then the next time it didn't, so it's really been weird. I've really got to dig into how this works. But we're going to leave it all default here, and then we're going to add an additional storage. It is going to be the host path. We're going to choose that path. We're going to choose media, and right here, don't forget to media. Set your mount path. So what this does, this mount path actually says this is the mount path. This is the name of this. This is the path of it. We're just going to leave it all the same. Let's scroll on down. He did not change anything. And then you click install. So it goes to deploying. Hopefully here in just a moment it will be up and running. So we're going to pause the video. So the app is now running, and that's amazing. So we should be able to hit open. It's going to take us to that. We're going to go ahead and sign in because we've been signed in before, and this should bring up to add a new server. I could never get this with True NAS. It would never come up. It would sign in and go directly to the server that I had currently running. So we got it. We're going to give this a name. Right now we're just going to call this Test Plex. We'll actually end up setting up the right one later on. Click next. This takes just a few moments to get through. Alright, let's go ahead and add a library. So we're just going to call this other. We'll click add a folder, browse. We should be able to go to media. And we have all these folders. This is my nephew. These are all his horror movies. Kind of a sad story. It's coming up on his anniversary of his death, but nonetheless, let's don't get sidetracked. So let's go to Plex Test, and you see that we actually have access to this video. It's our network video. We're going to click add to library, click next, done. And you can see there's our video. So I would call that a success. I believe that Plex is working correctly. So we're going to set up our network now. Well, guys, again, there are tons of videos out there on how to make this happen. And it's back and forth. Who's right, who's wrong? I don't know. It seems like I have to take pieces of the puzzle and put it together to make everything work, and it's very frustrating. And I guess that's what happens when you are doing open source. I can't talk. Let's pause it and we'll put a pause in. So I guess that's what happens when you use open source software. There are tons of videos about how to do something. And it's very frustrating that you got to kind of narrow it down and figure it out and test and test and test, and you eventually find a way that works. And again, my hat's off to Randy. He done a very good job of explaining it. His video was done 1 month ago. He seems like he's kind of pursuing the same thing I am, is shrinking down his closet and trying to get everything into one. So this way worked. I don't know If you guys have another way, maybe I was doing the app wrong from True NAS, but again, I spent 3 or 4 hours trying to make it work and it never would. So in the next video, we're going to be working on how to do reverse proxies with Let's Encrypt. So that's going to be interesting. I have been researching that one, and that is an integral part of my network is reverse proxy. Ooh, got the hiccups. So in the next video, we're going to be migrating our reverse proxy over to True NAS. And that one has got me a little worried because the Synology makes it super simple to have a reverse proxy with Let's Encrypt. And really the only way to do this is either with Nginx or Nginx Proxy Manager or Traffic. And I have found that Traffic and Nginx Reverse Proxy Manager are all for Docker containers. They're not for actually VMs, because Docker has its own internal network, which is really strange to me. I haven't learned a lot about Docker yet, but I do have some Docker containers running. But anyways, thank you. Well, let's move on to the next video. Okay, so we successfully migrated Plex over. You've seen that we were able to actually get Plex up and running. My hat's off to you, Randy, for your video. Even though it wasn't installing Plex, it was installing other applications from the TrueCharts application repo. It works. I would follow Randy's directions. I tried everybody else's and tried to use the True NAS app, and it didn't work. It was just the application that connected back to a server. And I tried. I could be wrong. Let me know. But anyways, with that being said, Plex is up and running. We'll actually go back and configure Plex to be our new one. We'll migrate it off. Our next project will be actually setting up a reverse proxy, and I'm kind of nervous about that because Synology makes it super simple. With Synology, you set it up, Let's Encrypt, get your certificate, apply it to it, and it just works. So with the Synology being a very integral part of how I protect my outside services that I have exposed to the web, stop it again. Okay, so we successfully set up Plex, as you had seen. We were able to play a video that we put in it, and it took several hours to make this happen. It's very frustrating that you watch 100 videos and none of them work, and they say, this is the way you do it. But Randy, you're the man. You actually had a way. I followed your steps. Even though it wasn't installing Plex, it actually led me down the right road to get this working correctly. And once we get... stop. Pause. So as you've seen, we got Plex up and running. Randy, my hat's off to you. Even though you didn't install Plex in your video, you did install other applications that led me down the right road. So thank you, Randy, for the video. Very informative. And our next project is actually going to be moving our reverse proxy over. And I'm a little nervous about it because Synology makes it so easy to use a reverse proxy. You just really turn it on, follow the steps, and in my video I'll actually show how to do that with Synology and use Let's Encrypt. It's all built in Synology. But here we're going to have to use Nginx, and it's not web-based. They do have web-based ones, Nginx, Proxy Manager, and Traffic, and there's several other ones out there, but they all seem to be just for Docker. And I don't want it to be just for Docker because I'm running I'm also going to be running VMs, and those will be not on the Docker network, and I have to have something that's going to work. So anyways, with that being said, it's running. I don't know what else to say. It works. All right, let's move on to the next one.